Hello, hello. I'm going to be doing a makeup demo of these Sonia Fusion brushes, Lotus brushes, and I'm going to be doing the demo a little bit differently. So most of these brushes have analogs or similar brushes, and I'm going to be using the Lotus set on one half of my face, and I'm going to be using the analog brushes on the other half of my face. So I'm going to apply the makeup first and then talk about the brushes and the similar brushes afterwards. The exception being for foundation. There's nothing else I have like the base brush from the Lotus set, so I'll be applying foundation over my entire face first. So using my usual cream foundation, these Fusion bristle blend brushes are designed to be used with both creams and liquids. I think most of you who have watched my videos by now know that I use a cream foundation for my base. And so far, I've been liking the Fusion series a lot, especially the jumbo base for applying my foundation. So I'm just using my finger to do the majority of the spreading first. And then I go in with the brush to blend. If you guys hear hum or roar in the background, that's the AC. It's quite a beast. So for those of you who just joined, I'm just going to apply my makeup with the brushes first. Lotus set on one side, other brushes on the other, and then I will talk about the brushes afterwards, as well as how they differ from the other ones. And as you have questions, pop them into the side chat and I will get to them. I am going to conceal a bit. Let me take this. A lot of breakouts around the chin and nose this time around, as well as some dry spots. So I guess that is one thing about this brush some people might not like. It is on the dense side, so it might cause skin texture. How to blend in. Fitting into there. As you can see, it really fits around the curves of the face really nicely. And could definitely be used for cream blush as well as cream contour. But I plan on using the other brushes in the set to do my blush and contouring, but I just wanted to show you the size and shape. Makes it well suited for all sorts of functions if you need it for small areas around the face. I didn't mix my foundation with my other shade, so it's a bit light right now, but we're going to remedy that with bronzer. So that's the base from the Lotus set. Next up, I'm going to take the cheek brush from the Lotus set, and I'm going to use a cheek brush on this side, and I'm going to use the Sonia G Classic Cheek on the other side. There you can see. And I'm going to apply a cheek pop. So as you can see, that's the color if I just swatch it with my finger. I'm going to pick up, or try to pick up, approximately the same amount of pigment on both brushes. And I actually haven't used this blush in a while, so I've kind of forgotten how pigmented it is. But I picked the cheek pop because it's one of the stiffer textures and tends to be harder for brushes to pick up. This one, it had no trouble picking up pigment whatsoever, not a surprise. And has no trouble blending out the color either. Now, Classic Cheek, you can see already that it spreads out more. And I might have made a slight miscalculation. A bigger brush will pick up more pigment, so oops. I'm going to take the foundation brush and fix my mistake a bit. Using it to just buff out and kind of erase the excess blush I applied. As you can see, it's a pretty firm brush to be able to push in my skin, and I'm not pressing terribly hard with it either. Probably rougher and harder than I would do if I was doing it on other people, but I'm not pressing all that hard. The brush head is quite firm. There we go. That's these two. Next up, I am going to go do a little bit of contouring, bronzer with the detail brush. And I don't have a Sonia G equivalent for this, so I'm going to be comparing it to the Hakuhodo J511. Something I forgot to mention is all of these brushes are not washed and bloomed, so this is truly a very, very rough first impressions. And actually, I lied. I decided to go into my actual contour powder rather than my bronzer. More through there. There we go. And the other one. You can see this one spreads out more, and it's not quite as precise, but part of it is because the angled brush, what is it called, is not bloomed, is not washed and bloomed. This is the detail brush, but there are structural differences as well. So there we go. A little bit more. Put that part in. That's the angled brush. Now I am going to take the lid brush, and I don't have a Sonia G equivalent for this either, so I'm going to use the Giorgio Armani, I think this is the medium lid brush. Strangely, I can't find my Hakuhodo, what is it? The Hakuhodo J004. So the closest equivalent for flat lay down brush I have is the Armani brush. So I went into this golden shade here. I have no idea what it is. It's from Buxom. And then while the eyeshadow brush in the Lotus set is goat, this one is horse. It's a very soft horse, but it's still horse. And you can see the difference in the pigmentation application. Did a video, I'm going to go into the pan extra to get the same intensity. A couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a month ago now, where I took a bunch of brushes that had pretty much the same build, they just had different hairs, and then I used them to apply makeup so people could see how different bristles apply the same makeup product and make it look different. So you can achieve multiple effects with one makeup product if you have a bunch of different brushes. Okay. There we go, that's the flat lay down brush. And I am going to go into sort of the upper orbital area with the worker brush, and then this is the worker 2. So I've always found, oops, that my brushes don't quite bloom as much as the pictures show, and it might be because I have hard water where I am. I'm going to go into this pinkish shade over the tan brown and a little bit of this purple shade. Mix on the back of my hand. Just want it here. There we go. Gonna do the same thing with the Worker 2 brush. Load it up. Mix it. And then apply sort of like an outer wing. This was a technique I just was playing around with, and I decided I really liked it because it makes the eyes look humongous. And wrap a little bit. Same deal here. All right. And then finally, I'm going to take the last brush in the set. This is the soft definer, and then this is the closest brush I could find that I have, strangely, the mini booster. I have some squirrel brushes too, but squirrel was just not even close. So I'm going to go in with this mauve shade again, except for this time I'm not mixing with the light pink. I'm going to just apply it near the lash line. I'm going to use like a pencil brush down here. That's this. And then do the same here. Because this brush is bigger and fluffier, it picks up differently, so I'm going to roll it to redistribute pigment. I'm actually going to have to redip a bit. Let me put a little bit here, just to kind of get the halo effect eye going. I think I'm going to go back in with the, where's the flat brush? With the flat brush, and then hit just a little bit more light with this almost pure white shade. Just here. Oh, should have used the other brush for the other side. Oh well, too late now. You already saw the difference. So that is the Lotus set on this side, and then quite equivalent brushes on the other side. Quite honestly, difference-wise, there's not much. The biggest difference was in the flat eye brush. So let's break it down by all the brushes and which ones are unique, which ones you might be able to skip. Not that you can't skip because they come in a set. But if you have the majority of the brushes in another form, then maybe you don't need this set. The most unique one is definitely the base. So this is a fat little fan, and it's so soft. Like, I'm really impressed with the fusion brushes. I've said previously that the jumbo base is like a softer version of the Eyeshadow FD01. With that one, you can like jab it anywhere, and it doesn't poke. Once in a while, the Bishoto has a little bit of pokiness, even though it is pure Coho. This one, the Fusion blend, is so Coho and 2 types of synthetic, I believe, and it's just very soft. The shaped tip of it is very nice. I haven't used it for cream blush or cream contour yet, but I know it's definitely a possibility. And for those of you who like to get into the nook and crannies when you're doing your makeup and foundation, you can definitely have all the control you want. It's on the small side, so it's going to take a little bit longer to do your entire base, but that's a trade-off you're going to have to consider. Size versus precision versus efficiency. Go. And let's look at the cheek second. So this one is apparently an undyed version of the Cheek Pro. I don't have the Cheek Pro. I have the Classic Cheek. So let's look at these two. So the Classic Cheek from this guy set has a little bit more of a shaped tip. I can definitely tell that this one's going to be more blunt in the tip once it blooms out a little bit more. So it's still going to be small. It's still going to be precise in shape. So the main difference I can feel between the cheek and the Classic Cheek is this one feels denser and firmer, and this one feels more airy. Like you can see the flexibility of when I press it and how quickly it springs back. This one just folds, and this one gives a fair bit of pushback. I don't have the the Cheek Pro, unfortunately, to compare, but I do have to say that these are both really good. My favorite out of these two is probably still the Classic Cheek, just because it's a little bit airier and has a little bit more layerability, but this one does give you more control via the size. And just because this is a brush from another set, this is the Kiyaki Classic Face. This has been talked about as a different bristle blend dupe for the Suku Cheek, and I think that's pretty accurate. This one's very flexible, very airy. This one would be suitable as a powder brush, as a bronzer brush, because it really spreads out. As a cheek brush, this one, not so much. It doesn't spread out very much. It's not very airy. If you're going to put powder on with this, you're going to get quite a bit of powder on there, and it's going to be thick and heavy unless you're using this to flick off powder. Then this one is definitely good for that because it does have that bounciness that can just wipe away powder. So that's this one. And as for applying other things like highlight and contour, you can definitely do it with this brush, even though it's not quite as shaped as the Classic Cheek. I was joking with somebody like, oh, this is the shorter, more muscular sister of the cheek from the Lotus. Is the shorter, more muscular sister of the Classic Cheek. And it's actually kind of true. This is the detail brush from the Lotus set. And this is the closest thing I have, the Hakuhodo J511. So this is obviously going to bloom out more, but the main difference lies in, again, how they feel, how firm they are, and how much they spread. So you can kind of tell just by the spread alone that they will behave differently and be different in terms of blending strength. So this one definitely feels more flexible, more airy to me, but it still has great blending strength. This one spreads a little bit more, of course, because it's bigger, but also because it's just flatter across the tip. This one is more rounded, so you get a little bit more control and a little bit more preciseness. With this one, I was able to contour my nose quite easily. With this one, I was kind of putting the brush in approximately the same area and hoping for the best. So, detail face, cheek lives up to its name. There. Moving on to the eye brushes. I can't say there's an appreciable difference between the Worker and the Worker 2. So this is my Worker 2 already washed and bloomed. It's a slight bit more pointy, and a bit more wide, but I imagine this will also bloom out more. But otherwise, they applied pretty much identically. The only difference would probably be in the tip if you're using it to go underneath the eye, or if you're blending a very specific area like right in the crease and you want to keep it there. That's probably the only difference I can find with the Worker versus the Worker 2. I've talked about using the Worker 2 before for doing under eye concealer because it's almost like using your finger to pat it in, and it blends beautifully and seamlessly. This is no longer my favorite under eye concealer brush because there's been a bunch that have fell in recently. This is the Jumbo Blender. It's a bigger version of the Worker or Worker 2, and because it's bigger, it just goes faster and it's more firm and it feels more like a finger patting in concealer. This was my favorite under eye concealer brush up until I got the Jumbo Concealer in the Fusion series last week. So one favorite brush is being replaced by another, and they're all within the same line. This is the Builder, and this is the Armani brush. I do have the Builder 1 from Sonia G, and it is nothing like this at all. It's very wide here, and it comes almost to a point, like a pencil-like point. So I just picked another flat brush. I can say that the J004 is rounder and slightly smaller, but otherwise this brush is great for lid laydown, and because of that fine tip, you can use it almost like a pencil brush, and definitely you can use it for smudging pencil liner, or if you do a pencil liner on the top, you dip your brush into there and then you just stamp eyeshadow across to set that liner. Actually, let's do that right now. We can kind of like so. Now, if it was more pigmented, it'd be easier to see. But you get the gist of it. Like that. So that's the Builder, probably the most versatile brush out of the bunch. Well, it doesn't blend as well as the Worker would, but that's why that brush is there. So then finally you have the soft definer, and this one is like a pencil brush tip on a round blending brush. So this is the closest thing I have to it, the mini booster. And well, first of all, there's a size difference, and then there's the resilience difference. Again, this can be used like a pencil. This one, not so much because of the tip. This one can be used to blend. This one, not so much. This is more of the, if you're trying to get a gradient, you would put it down and you'd slide it, and you kind of use it to shade, almost like a pencil. Where you want it to be more intense, you just go over the place more and you put more pigment down and that place gets darker. This versus something more like a traditional blending brush, you place it, tap it until it's the darkness you want, and then you kind of remove it, and then you take it and then you blend it out, versus this one is a layering type brush. So that is the Fusion series. I wasn't at home when they arrived, so I only got to open them this morning, and I didn't get to wash them, so you guys got a very, very rough first impressions. But I can say my favorite of this set is definitely the angled brush, simply because I like small, controllable brushes that I can do a lot with. And then also this one can do under eye powder. I think I forgot to mention that. Second favorite would probably be the cheek brush. Third, this one, and then it's kind of a toss-up between these two and then that one. So favorites from this side to this side. These are my rankings for favorite out of the brushes. Do you need a set? Probably not. I do have to say, though, it's a very well-balanced set. As long as you don't require a very light, fluffy brush to do your makeup, I think that this would be an excellent travel set that you could use to do your makeup for 1 week, 2 weeks away. The only thing I would add to it would probably be a looser fluffy brush like this that you can do bronzer with, that you can do finishing or setting powder with. That's truly the only thing I feel like is missing from this set. Because this one can pretty much act as your flat or liner brush. Most people don't use lip brushes anyways, so you've got your lid, your liner, your blender brush, and I need to do something else brush, smudger, intensifier, and most people I don't think use the eyebrow brushes that come in sets anyways, so that's why I say this is very well balanced. Would I give this to a beginner? Yes, after I explain how to use this brush, because most people would probably take a look at this and have no idea how to use it. This, however, this core is very intuitive to use, or maybe that's just me talking because I play with brushes too much and spend way too much time talking about them. So I'll stop talking and start answering questions. Okay, let's take a look. Hello. I didn't mean to film this video so late. I had meant to film it around lunchtime, but stuff happened and I'm here and I wanted to get this done. I'm not sure if it was Sonia herself who gifted these brushes or Beautylish put me on their PR team. Either way, I'm happy to have them, and Sonia knows that I am very happy to have them as well. Okay, you just pre-ordered these, and I hope I gave you some ideas on how to use them. Okay, now you want a set too. I hope you managed to get your hands on one. You would love to hear reviews of this set and the comparison to the Fusion set. I'll definitely be doing one on the Fusion set. I can say I won't be doing a comparison between this set and that set, the Fusion set, because the Lotus set is just so different. The Lotus set is geared toward, I would say, a beginner to intermediate to somebody just dipping their toes into fude. The Fusion set has more brushes that I think are more specialized. Like most people would look at the Jumbo Concealer, Jumbo Base and go, how do I use these? The round brushes are more intuitive to use, but it's not a complete face to eyes, base to eye set like the Lotus set is. Okay. Okay, you can always watch the video from the beginning. YouTube will have to process it for a couple hours and then you can watch from the beginning. But luckily you have tomorrow to watch it to pre-order if you'd like. And I do have to say, one thing in the photos and kind of showing up on video is it looks almost like two different tones, like a very warm tone pink and a very cool tone pink. At first I was thinking, I don't know how I feel about that. But in person, the undertones are both much closer. They're both this sort of like violet color. This is much less cool than it looks in pictures, and this is less warm than it looks in pictures. Like in some pictures, this part of the pink looks almost coral, and it clashes with the violet. In person, it's much more harmonious and pleasant looking, like a orchid. Well, I know she called this a Lotus set, but I think it looks like an orchid. So far, you're not sure if this is ideal for you. Everything looks stiff and dense. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Everything is on the stiffer, harder side for sure. Well, not stiffer, harder side. Stiffer, more resilient side. As far as hardness, there's that firmness, but it's not harsh on skin. If you do have dry skin, though, you're probably not going to like this brush because it might micro exfoliate. I did not say how much the set costs, but someone underneath has the amount, $215 USD. The shape reminds you of the Koyudo BPO26. I don't think I remember that brush. Koyudo BPO26. Oh, yeah, okay, I remember that brush now. The Koyudo BPO26 is more severely shaped, more this way. It doesn't have that rounded corner, and it's also more flat across the top. Okay, can I compare with the Fusion set, please? Like I said, there's not many crossovers between the Fusion set. The only thing that crosses over is the bristle type. So I'd be more comparing the bristle type and how it performed in different shapes and different densities, and actually comparing the Lotus set to the Fusion set. Okay, so looks like most of you are signed up for their pre-order email, and not many more questions. Nope, no more questions. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you guys next time, hopefully soon. Bye.